My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast. We're not going to bother be professional. We've been laughing for far too long. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the holiday special and it's Jodi!
Woo! Hi, everyone.
Oh, this is fantastic.
Hello, everyone. No, that's a Santa reference, everyone.
Yes, yes, it's the holiday special. So it is so good. We were talking before we started recording about the fact that it just feels like we've had Jodi on, but we haven't.
No, I just feel like I'm in everybody's house, I guess. Kind of creepy. Kind of like Santa.
You're just getting in your poltergeist activity before you're dead, you know?
Well, why not get it in while you know you can enjoy it, I feel, and that's the important point.
Well, you know how everyone's like, oh, my keys are gone missing again. They're like, oh, it's those bloody fairies or whatever they want to blame it on. No, it's just Jodi.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Jodi. She's hiding them. She doesn't want you to go just yet.
Comes in, takes keys, takes your phone, hides them,
but
runs away.
Why the one sock?
You leave out bowls of candy and rum, I'm good. Okay. I'll leave your stuff alone.
There we go. So bowls of candy and rum. I'd go with both. I'd go with bowls of candy and bowls of rum. I think both are appropriate.
Get rum balls. Do you have rum balls? Yeah.
Yes, we do.
That could work quite well. So we are actually here to talk some form of bake-off, although it's going to be sparse. All right. This is going to be very festive. We're treating this like our own mini Christmas party, to be honest. So, and there's no one for us better to get on for a holiday party than Jodi, because we've had a lot of interactions, as we said, haven't had her on the podcast, and that's just the world turned to shit, to be blunt. That's what happened.
But now it's righting itself.
You're
is back in the pavilion. How was it to wander back into those illustrious decked halls?
Oh, it was. It felt like I never left. It's like I took a little break and then I was going back in, and I didn't want to leave again when it was over. I'm like, no. We have 7 more episodes to shoot, right?
This is episode 1, right?
Did you run and grab, like, when they're handing Sasha, sorry, spoiler alert, the cake plate. The cake plate. You're like, no, not yet. It's too soon. There's no second.
It's not. We're not ready for this. You got to call him the star baker for this week, right?
Yeah.
Like when you finished, when you all walked outside and all the other bakers from previous seasons were out there, like, good, there's more. Quick, get in, everybody. If we all stand inside the pavilion, they can't send us all home.
Rapicat, claim a bench. Anjali, down that cello. We're going in.
Andre, build some more benches.
No, we can pair off in teams.
You're all practicing for the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah.
So,
hey, when you bake with family, you bake with everybody in the kitchen. So let's get used to it.
Yes.
It was the holiday special's fun. Like the last one was really good fun. This was incredibly awesome to see not only the 4 of you in there, but just to see all the other bakers sort of at the end that were there. It was just wonderful.
Oh, the energy is electric. With the holiday special, it doesn't feel as stressful as the regular season. And I think it's because we've already experienced that. So we kind of have an idea of what we're coming into.
Yeah.
I know it was fun. And then Colin, I was so happy to see somebody else from season 3. I'm like, honest, we were going to get in trouble. We didn't. We were good.
Well, it's interesting for me because, like, again, like you had obviously Colin, so you're like, yay, cool, mischief. But obviously, while all the bakers do talk and sort of interact with each other, you also then got to sort of be in there with Linda and Sachin as well. Oh. And that feels like it would have been a hell of a lot of fun, including, especially, I have to say, you said that there's no stress. Linda was embodying that at one point, just riffing.
Like, just stop farting around and get it on the plate. That was my favorite line.
Oh yeah, no. So it was like a fangirl moment for me because obviously Sachin and Linda came before our season.
Yeah. So
I had the opportunity to watch their seasons before, and I was like enamored before I even got onto the Great Canadian Baking Show. Yeah, I was starstruck when Linda walked in. I'm like, oh, Linda, because you never know who you're gonna get. I mean, it's kind of obvious that it's going to be somebody who made it to the finale, but I didn't know. I was anybody, and Sachin he's so funny.
He is really, it's a very dry humor, and I absolutely love that. It's just the way that he just hits the joke. You're like, oh, that was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, it's almost like deadpan humor, which is really funny because then you're like, how inappropriate can I make a joke and have it like hit well? Because I are so bad sometimes, and I'm like, oh. So I think that's why we hit it off really well.
So I was thinking like they might have edited it out, but were there any inappropriate jokes about your nuts falling on the bench? Like you're like, oh no, my nuts fallen, it's creamed everywhere. Like it's just.
I'm like, so we were baking with Colin, you know that, right?
Oh, oh yeah, completely. This is a man who in an episode of the Great Canadian Baking Show got through, and I kid you not, I like bears. I mean, well, we know, but and made various references to topping and bottoming. So you get what you get with him.
I mean, our showstopper piece was cream puffs, right? Like,
yeah, it was remarkably calm considering the content matter that appeared.
I feel that the producers did well in kind of like limiting maybe the imbibing of booze leading up to like all the bakes, just to prevent.
They just put it all in the showstopper.
Too much innuendo, or they knew there'd be enough.
Yeah,
Colin doesn't need booze. Colin does not need booze for innuendo.
No.
So just so people can be aware, of course. So we need to just explain. Maybe there are some people that have never really watched the Great. Of course they are. They all have, but still. Yeah. So just to give sort of our views, of course, on these people going in. I mean, Jodi will talk about it in a minute, obviously. But obviously, let's start with Colin. So Colin, of course, you know, one of the foundation members of Canada's greatest boy band, Polite Disagreement.
Yes.
And it's wonderful to see him again. Obviously, he was represented in the last holiday special.
Yes, he came and performed.
Solo act. So, I mean, that might have been a bit of a Timberlake breakout moment from Polite Disagreement, but I really hope the reunion tour...
doing more Timberlake, less Jerry Halliwell. That's what we want.
So we're looking forward to the Polite Disagreement reunion tour 2022 as the world opens up, of course. Yep. Sachin, of course, we know from such wonderful things as his auditioning for his own TV show all the way through his series. And it's nice to see Sachin back from Sachin's World. I mean, it's a great show.
Jodi is currently looking at us so confused.
There's a lot of back law we have, Jodi. You just got to run with it. And of course, we have the Nonna Gazelle herself.
Oh, she's both a nonna and graceful and hilarious. It is, of course, Linda.
You know, who... What I love about this too for Linda is it gives her an opportunity to feed a whole new range of hosts. Because of course yeah, exactly. Because in her series, as you well know from watching it, she just had Dan strapped to her shoulder the whole time.
Yeah. Well, if we were allowed to go to other people's like workspace, I would have been in her space sampling everything, like the little kid a grandkid in a grandmother's kitchen.
Yep.
Oh, so yeah. Before we were in the tent, she invited us over for like an appy thing, and yeah, it was like I didn't want to leave. I'm like, you have so much good food, and she was testing out her baking on us before she got into the tent because we weren't sure if we were going to be able to sample each other's stuff.
Okay. Oh, that's nice of her.
Oh yeah. Then of course when we were done, we had to leave. I'm hugging her and crying in the airport. I didn't want to let her go.
Come home. I need some food, mate.
You're like, your husband picks you up at the airport. He's like, Jodes, why is the luggage like wriggling? You're like, no. Why are there muffled cries coming from your luggage? It's a surprise. I've got to send you grandma. It's okay.
Can I just say quickly on the Linda front, of all of the people I expected to have to come out of Bake Off and have a sports car, Linda wasn't high on my list. But I love it. And I loved her. One seat for me, one seat for my purse.
I'm anticipating her doing like a Michael Scott driving up, you know, it's Britney, bitch. Just the pavilion. Because of course you filmed it in summer, like it's obvious, you know, us Australians are going, oh, that's perfect. That's a perfect representation of Christmas. You know, trying to pretend it's cold when it's fucking hot outside. I will swear.
Why stop now?
And I think I particularly loved it with the everyone's in there. Like it looked beautifully festive, but in the background there were these people in shorts and t-shirts just wandering past the pavilion. They should have had a producer at the back with like some scarves and jackets, like just until you get past the shot. Yeah.
Shake some snowflakes, some like snowflakes that looks like snow out the back.
Surely we could have convinced Liam to, drag in a caribou or two. Like
Liam's just dragging Grace behind him. Nothing to see here. It's very Christmassy.
Grace would have been very Christmassy. He might have even put on his winter Crocs.
Yeah. They're fur-lined.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
We're saying this, and I am sure there are fur-lined Crocs out there.
I'm sure they exist. They're fleece-lined, actually. They're fleece-lined, and they just launched them.
Oh, my God. Kudos to the people who need these in their lives, but wow, the people who choose to have them in their lives.
I'm just going to say to those people who feel like they need fleece-lined Crocs, shoes exist, right?
Look,
you've heard of that.
There's a time and a place for Crocs. Leave them alone.
Is there?
Yeah, going to the beach because the bloody sand.
Even I don't do that. You know that.
I do.
I wear Converse to the beach. Anyway, that's me. I wear Converse to the beach.
So speaking of the festive season,
which is what we were doing,
and we're talking about it's hot there. What is it like now in Canada?
I can't speak for across the country because Vancouver gets their lovely mild winters, and it's like cherry blossoms in February. Mm-hmm. And then you have the East Coast, which is one day there's no snow, and then all of a sudden there's 6 feet. So
okay.
I'm in the middle of Canada in the prairies, and we're at like -40 outside right now, and it's a dry, bitter, vicious cold. So, yeah, you open the front door, like the dog will go outside, open the door, she'll look, and she'll like nope and run back in the house. She's been holding in her pee for 2 days, so.
Is this every day the dog goes to the door? Like, is it a pooping day? No, it is not a pooping day.
Non-poop day. Non-poop day.
Did you have a little calendar, like how many days till poop can happen again? Like people have an advent calendar.
You walk up. You go next to the door, and there's just this little calendar with like a paw print on every day of a nope, no.
She literally won't even go out. She'll just like smell the air, and if it hurts her nose, she just turns right around and comes back in.
The paw prints are getting more desperate as the days go on. They're dragging down the calendar.
Oh,
I promise you, everyone, by the way, we will at some point mention baking, but to be honest with you, we're having too much fun. What I do want to mention, and it's about the show, but it's not really about baking.
Okay.
Because I have to get this in because we do a lot, obviously, as everyone knows, we talk a lot about how, Kyla's on point or Bruno's on point or Anne's on point or Alan's in the grand final. We said Alan's look was amazing. I have never wanted anyone's look more than I want Anne's look.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Okay. So for the holiday special, she walks in, right? And she's like just sparkle heaven. And I was like, oh, Anne, I want your outfit. I like literally yelled that to her. She smiled and nodded, but I didn't get the outfit, so maybe I came off really creepy on my first impression.
You're kind of the same height as her, like like there are similar proportions there, and I'm thinking
but I've got the curves, so
I got it.
So
sneak into her trailer,
Yeah, maybe I should have sneaked into wardrobe and been like, "Where's Anne's pile?" Because I'm going there.
I'm assuming it's an armed guard.
And I've got these special turkey and red wine based savory souffle for you to enjoy with extra with a sifter of brandy next to it. Is it sifter, whatever. Sifter of brandy next to it. The brandy might taste a bit sweet with some sugar in it. Then when she's out and sleeping.
Yeah, I've never wanted to raid somebody's closet as much as I've wanted to raid Anne's closet. Everything looks so incredible. Like
the whole outfit, the sparkly jumps, the purple boots, the whole thing was just amazing.
Like pulling back the curtain a bit, before we started to record, we're talking about you've got this dress that's beautiful and it's got pockets and you're wearing it and we're very excited about this, and again is an example of, if you make it, we will effing wear it, just like beautiful dresses with pockets, we will wear it. Beautiful jumpsuits that sparkle and glitter, we will wear it. Just make it for us.
Right. And we will wear it every day until we get told we can't anymore.
And even then, a couple of days after.
What's her name? Catherine, the Canadian comedian who's in England. Catherine Ryan. She's got her own show, and she goes and picks up her daughter from school in full on haute couture. I'm thinking that should be us, just wandering around doing everyday things in amazing outfits.
Yeah, I've noticed actually season 4's Alina on her Instagram posts, she's always dressed so glam. I'm like, yes, wear the dress. I love it. And the heels. I can't really do the heels anymore, but I'll wear sparkly flat.
That's perfect.
Look, I feel you. And if you can't wear the dress that day, doesn't matter. You just do it whenever.
I mean, you got married in sparkly flats.
I did. I got red glitter slippers, literally. Yeah.
That's brilliant. I wish I had thought of that. I bought heels that I kicked off an hour in.
Yeah.
And I ended up going into the store in my wedding dress to buy different shoes because I hated the heels I bought.
Oh, look, I have so much. I've got feet. I'm a bigger woman as well, but I've also got feet that I think they should have been planks on a ship. I know I've got a sailor in my background, so I don't know if my great grandmother was a ship. But my feet have a lot of trouble finding shoes that fit them. So I was doing a performance last week. I'm doing burlesque. It's great. Yeah. It's so much fun. Yes. And so my biggest fear was met because part of the act at the end is putting on shoes. Now and they had to be pretty shoes. And I'm like, fuck, I can't find any, the cheapest pair of pretty shoes I could find that would fit my feet, $300 and take 8 months to get here. So I'm like, well, that's not going to happen. So I go down to Kmart, which is your Walmart, get a $17 pair of mules, and I fucking cut the middle of them, use gaff tape to make them bigger, cover them in ostrich feathers and diamantes. And you know what? They look spectacular. I was very.
You need to post a picture of those.
I will. They look good. They look decent.
They looked really good,
and I was able to dance in them. So
now, see, this is the life advice people come to us for.
Yeah, screw baking. What are you going to wear for your burlesque act? Come here for that advice.
I am notoriously famous for creating random things in a short period of time. I once made an entire mask of Mouth of Sauron headgear out of a cereal box and duct tape, and I wore it to Comic-Con because they wouldn't let me take my mask on the plane. So I'm like, okay, fine, I'll just make one when I get there. And I went on the subway like that. It was wonderful.
Look, when needs must, when they won't let you Sauron on the plane, you just Sauron where you are.
If you can't Sauron with the one you love, then Sauron with the one you're with. Anyway, there was a baking show at some point. I'm not trying to re-steer us back to it. I'm just reminding everyone listening at home. I don't actually care about steering us back to it. I've
got a segue.
God, this will be good.
So
I'm ready.
We're on to the technical because, of course, you guys did brilliantly I loved your nuts. Your nuts are so pretty, golden and dangling. So making Jodi.
They kept dropping.
They do that. So
I thought I had enough time though.
As the expert here, I just have to say they do that.
It's a shame.
It's a special time in every baker's life. So moving on.
From Jodi's adolescent nuts.
So we are
the technical.
Well, before that, there was a signature.
Yeah, okay, we can finish off the signature.
We haven't started the signature. No, we haven't got into the pavilion, people.
We'll keep going.
I don't actually care about us getting into the pavilion. The only thing I wanted to mention was that Sachin came up with a statement at the start where he said that it's the one time of year that flour, sugar, and butter are not the enemy. Bullshit. They're never the enemy, Sachin. They are never the enemy. Ask Bruno. I'd say ask Colin, but the butter thing.
Butter was actually Colin's enemy that day because he forgot to bring it.
I can't believe that of all the things you forget when you turn up with Bruno in there, the butter is on the list.
Dude, I buy butter by the case during the holidays. By the case. You can just mix it with sugar and serve that, and people love it. Throw a little vanilla on it. Boom. Here you go. Dessert.
It's like when you're like writing out your Christmas, gift list, and when you're shopping, it's like, and 6 cases of butter.
Exactly.
You just got to add that to your, so when you're running around or ordering online, I do.
If he forgot the butter, surely Bruno knows 15 or 20 stockists. And you just go up to Bruno and go, "Hey, Bruno, I need a dealer. What do you got? I need some good quality stuff. Yeah. What do you want? I want the creamy stuff."
You just gave him a block from his pocket. He's like, "Here, just here."
I'm sure exactly.
He just opens. It's what's under his vest. He just opens his vest.
If any person on the planet carries butter around like it's a Rolex,
actually, Liam during season 3 kept the butter in his pockets to get it warm. So he was just walking around with butter in his pockets all day.
To be fair, that is a man who carried a turkey on his back through a forest. So, he is that resourceful. He is that resourceful. I'm assuming he just does that anyway. Like you walk up your meeting, "Hey Liam, how you going? Butter?"
Liam is the person you want on your zombie apocalypse.
The salt is in this pocket. But he is a one-man walking Christmas meal.
He's like wine, and he just pulls a little tap out from under his sleeve and starts pouring.
Do you want the red or the white?
Right out, red, white, perfect. That's it. Liam, for next year's Christmas special, you give him no other resources. He just has to use what's on him.
And send him into the wilderness.
It's like he can't have anything in a storage. It must be on his person when the special starts.
And that's it.
And that's the only thing he's allowed to cook for the entirety of the holiday special. Make this happen.
However, he's got to have Andre as his second, because Andre will make the pans.
Well, Larry will make the pans for him.
True.
Andre will be able to get things shipped in. Well, he'll ship them in himself because, of course, he was a sailor. Again, there's some great and his adventure. Actually, I would pay to see Liam and Andre on an adventure. I'd pay for that privilege because Andre is that wild adventurer. That's his background. That man has lived. That man has lived a lot of lives.
Speaking of wild adventurers, Sachin and his signature. See, I did a thing. I did a segue.
You did a segue.
What did Sachin make? How did you find Sachin's baking on the day, Jodi? Sorry, just pull you back. Giggling at us.
He had the mitten cookies that were cardamom. Yes,
that's right. Yes, they were delicious looking.
Oh, they look so good. I didn't get to try them, but the piping work. Because we're not dealing with a whole lot of time, right? But his piping work was incredible. It was so intricate. It literally looked like knitting.
Yeah, I love the little the fur cuff was so pretty. Like that's what really got me with his. Yes.
Well, and then he did the mirror glaze. Yeah. I wish I could have tried them. They look so good. I should have just slid one off and hid in the back with it.
Just pay Anne. Go, Anne, I won't steal your outfits if you slip me a couple of Sachin's biscuits and the mirror glaze. COVID wise though, you couldn't you lie down and just have Sachin tip the ingredients one by one straight into your face, no contact. He's on a bench.
His bench was literally behind mine. I could have done that.
Yeah.
If I wasn't stressing out about all my pine cones dropping. So
this is where you need Kristie just to strategize for you. This is what you see if she's good at this. I loved in the signature. My favorite part of the signature was Colin being a 5-year-old when he cracked an egg. So it was so fun. His reaction was a 5-year-old where he's like, "I'm getting things done. Boom, eggs done." And I'm like, "You cracked an egg, Colin."
We should all be very proud of our achievements, big or small, and cracking an egg.
But I absolutely love the level of excitement on cracking an egg. That is pure joy. It was like, boom, eggs, done. Got it.
Even such force, though. Like that's like, I'm here to win it. This is doing it. Let's do it. And I'm like, I was intimidated. I'm like, holy, I'm fine.
What I really liked was his "I'm here to win it," followed by 2 seconds later, "I need to remember how to turn a mixer on." Like, there's a balance, Colin. There's a balance. You want to win? Work on that mixer.
I'm here for overconfidence, you know. Just fake it till you make it.
And while I love all of you dearly, and we're going to talk about your gingerbread cakes in a minute, because I've never really wanted any bakers much. Although until we get to your showstopper, which I really realized how much I've missed Linda.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh my God, there's Linda. That's awesome. And as the episode progressed, I just realized how much more I need Linda in my life. And she's amazing. Like, she's amazing. And
she really is the June Cleaver of the tent.
She really is.
You could just imagine, like, you know, if you went to her house, like, you would just be treated to the most beautiful spread.
And I loved that she joined in the Colin bashing without the butter. And like, because she's so, you know, lovely and everything. But then she's like, you know, it's the butter. It's the butter, Bruno. You see.
She was right behind Colin's bench, right?
Yeah.
She overran
and all the way through, she's like, it's just butter. And you just hear Colin go, sorry, Linda. Won't happen again, Linda. So the pine cone. Let's talk about the pine cones and the gingerbread cakes. So first of all, they looked really awesome, the pine cones. They looked really good. I
know. I was calling them nuts because pine cones aren't really a well-known euphemism for testicles. So
yeah, you were doing it for a joke.
In hindsight, they kind of look like acorns, which are nuts, which...
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
there's a whole other podcast in that.
Yeah, because I know pine cones are not a nut. They're a specific kind of seed spreading.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, okay. Kristie thought she'd make that clean and it didn't work.
I was trying to make my science teacher proud that I actually paid attention.
I like that they might be listening to this.
They might. My teachers loved me. Almost. Okay, maybe one or two loved me. Okay, maybe one liked me.
Vaguely. You know what I did like, though? The gingerbread cakes. Discuss. Because they looked incredible.
Okay, so the gingerbread cake is something I've always made. And I don't really measure the spices, so it's never the same. Here we go. So I figured I'll go with one that's kind of more difficult that I'm not really familiar with, the pine cone cookies, and one that I can make half awake in the middle of the night, you know, before the bake sale at school kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like my fail safe.
And I loved your thing. What's Jodi doing? Measuring by eye, as usual.
Yeah, that is a skill.
Yeah, that's about right.
Doesn't, and we just have fun with it. There was enough booze in there that it didn't matter if it looked like a train wreck. Everybody would have loved it. So.
I did like the fact that the booze, I was worried at one point about the level of booze. And I'm like, I don't know if you've got the right level of booze in this special or not. And then like it was more they weren't talking about it. And then when you got to the showstopper, everybody had booze.
Well, you didn't, did you, Jodes?
Like, no, I didn't. I only put the booze in the signature, but I had compensated for the fact that there wasn't going to be booze in the showstopper.
By putting it all in the signature.
Basically. I'm like, here, let's just free pour the rum into the eggnog.
I'm spotting it.
Remember, nobody doesn't measure.
Yeah, that's a measurement. Plenty.
You go by your heart.
Yes.
Plenty is a measurement. Is it scientific? No. Is it good? Yes. That's important. Just as important is the fact that how often do you hear that Bruno didn't know what a bake was? And we get to the technical, and Bruno's like, I've never heard of this.
So what's it called? A Wiener
Terta.
Yeah.
No,
you're right. It's Icelandic. It apparently is very commonly made in Gimli, Manitoba.
Yep.
We read it. I said to Chris, I'm like, who gave it? I'm like, I'm presuming it's the Icelandic people bringing it across.
So I researched.
I'm like, but maybe it was a Canadian importing to Iceland that just took off. But no, it is Iceland.
Yeah. So it's got some Austrian heritage, but it's Icelandic. Yeah, Wiener. Yep. But it was brought to Manitoba by the Icelandic immigrants who settled in New Iceland.
That's a very imaginative name.
What an original name. They obviously spent a lot of time working on that one. Look, we're in a new place. It's a bit like Iceland. What are we going to call it? I don't know. Give you a minute. Sure, I got something. And they got distracted by the amount of moose running around, and they're like, okay.
A strange thing. My husband is actually from Selkirk, which is right next to Gimli.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like they're from Manitoba in that area, and I never heard of this before. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, clearly I don't pay attention to your family. I'm sorry.
Kyla looked so smug and happy with herself when Bruno's like, I've never heard of this until you presented it. And you can just see her going, gotcha.
It's Jessie like, Jodi, we have this every year when we go to your in-laws. Like, this is something that is served by my aunt.
You've told me you love it.
Really, I'm a liar.
Now, once again,
isn't it?
Yes, I know, and I really enjoyed the level of disdain. I think it was Linda went. So I'm working on my prunes. Yes, I just said that. The level of disdain, and look, I have said that I think that missing Linda was one of the things I didn't really understand until I watched this. Linda and her facial expressions in this challenge were, first of all, we got worried Linda face when she realized everything had gone. She iced the outside of it. Although when she went, I iced my alcohol cake, I just like icing.
She's learnt that if you do a mistake, you just own it. Like, it's like, fuck it. That's
and
the
then,
way I like
well,
it.
I mean, Jodi's answer was to cover it using kumquats to cover the chaos, which is what a sentence. It might be one of the greatest things ever said. Kumquats cover the chaos. But then Linda also finished up with, I thought I needed worried Linda face as the GIF until they said there was no spice in her cake. At which point, the confusion / semi-rage that I saw across, she's like, what? I thought Linda was going to get up and beat Bruno to a pulp.
I didn't see that until I was watching it because, when we're all sitting side by side. So I didn't see the facial expressions till it actually aired. And I was just like, oh, she came really close to flipping Bruno off.
Look, it was the only thing we were missing. Everything else developed and extended. And she's just like, I just wanted to see her stand up and like, Bruno, back of the hand. No.
Slide it again.
Like, I will ice you. Like, come up with icing.
I love icing.
I'm gonna ice you, Bruno, for that comment. Ice away.
So did you miss the fact that, like, they can sometimes ask you to make things you've never heard of in your life under time pressure?
I figured there was nothing that could get any worse than the creme caramel that they asked us to make.
Yeah,
like, there's no way that anything is ever going to be that bad again.
Look, that was going to come up in the pod, so let's talk about it now and come back. Because, of course, we haven't had you on, and I haven't had the chance to talk to you about the creme caramel. Now, obviously, the other day we spoke to Vincent, our last year season 5 winner, and he was not aware at the time when he used a creme caramel for his topper of his grand final showstopper.
Just how much a flex on your team, your season that was.
What a flex it was on your series, and how scarred Bruno was. And when we spoke to Bruno, the scarring was quite evident. How does it feel to know that you scarred a food treasure?
We'd say national treasure, but
we didn't know it was that bad till the end of the season, and they're like, "Yeah, you made us really sick," and I'm like, "What? When? When did we do this to you?" Like the creme caramel? Yeah, you poisoned us. I'm like, oh
no! It's the greatest. It's the greatest reaction in the history of any form of Bake Off. Is Bruno walking in, looking at the puddles of creme caramel, and just going, "Guys, seriously."
You know what? I would have felt a little bit better the fact that we all had puddles if it wasn't for Colin and his perfect creme caramels. Out of everybody, he just had these flawless ones because he knew exactly what he was doing. We're all like, really, Colin? Really? You couldn't have helped the messed up like the rest of us? I, to this day, have not made one. I like
I'm staying clear of that.
Yeah, I'm like, I will make anything but that. It just, I don't think I could make it with a straight face or without getting emotional. I'm like, yeah, this.
Without rocking in a corner and having to spend 6 days, like decompressing.
Right. It's traumatic now. I'm like, no. Like technical used to be a little scary just to hear the word, but now I'm like, no, it's okay. But creme caramel, I still feel that shudder. That like, oh, please don't make me do
I think it opens up a creme caramel therapy practice. Just bringing all the bakers in from season 3, Colin excluded, of course. He might just go in for shits and giggles, and they can just make perfect creme caramels together. But just one by one, you go in and you cook a creme caramel with Vincent, and he just guides you and eases you back into that process.
Because imagine that balance between your series and the discussion on the creme caramel, followed by Bruno saying to Vincent, "This belongs in Paris," and you're like, "Oh, for God's sake!" I said to him, you did it as a topper, and he like, wasn't even the main thrust of the cake. It was, what am I going to put on top of the cake? Creme caramel.
I'll do the one bake that nobody got right.
But as he said, he wasn't aware until there was muttering outside of the pavilion with people going, "It's me a creme caramel, it's me a creme caramel, creme caramel." Because I'm looking around going, why are they all muttering about a creme caramel? I guess I went back and looked at it. He's like, I've got to go back and look at it now just to see what the hell happened.
It's so bad. Oh,
so this at least wasn't that. I mean, there were prunes, but this wasn't a creme caramel. So
no, and you know what? I'm quite fond of a biscuit. It doesn't matter. I'm comfortable with those. Like, I mean, the crème de casquette, for example. Sure, it was upside down because I didn't know what I was doing really, but the fact that I nailed the bake on the biscuits, because there's a finicky fine line between overbaked and underbaked for most of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing with the almond biscuit and the vena tarta. It has to be very, very, very lightly baked.
Mm-hmm.
So I was happy with that. The only thing that really, really got me was the fact that I couldn't count to 7. And I didn't realize it till I'd already rolled it out and had some in the oven. I'm like, two. If everyone has 2, that's an even number, and pretty sure 7 is odd.
What I loved about it too. You were the only person that managed to do too much and still have it too small.
No, it was taller, just not wider.
I know. But then they're like, it's a small one, and then they go, and there's more layers, and I'm like, I understand what they mean, but it doesn't make any sense when you hear those two things together.
Well, I'm looking around. Everybody else had really big biscuits, and mine were really narrow. And I'm like, how did I end up with? Okay, but then, yeah. And you know what? Anne walked by and she whispered, she's like, "You should just get rid of that extra layer." And I'm like, okay. And I was gonna put it in the oven, and I'm like, you know what? I already made it. I'm just gonna put it on top. Maybe they won't have.
Yeah. See, the thing was, we all know why Anne walked past and said that. She was hungry.
She's like,
it's the snack time.
She was hoping nobody would notice and she could go get it.
If you dispose of that last layer, well, someone has to take it off your hands. And who else?
But Anne,
I'm sure she could split it with me out loud. I would have been down. Let's eat the evidence, Anne. Let's eat the evidence.
Yeah, together, let's remove the evidence.
But did you get to try some, and was it tasty?
You know what? For something with prunes, and I hate prunes, I hate raisins.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually quite good. It was quite good. I did have an offer from a lady who seen the episode, who reached out and goes, "Hey, I'm in Regina. We make this every year. My husband was Icelandic. I would like to teach you how to make it properly, and you could try it." And I'm like, okay, let's do it. I'll eat your baking. I mean, I would like to see how it's done when I'm not in a panicked rush.
Yeah.
A half complete, recipe. And with actually 7 biscuits, like it's supposed to have.
Because I love that.
It just changed everything.
Because I absolutely love that, because of course, when you started off when you were in by going, oh, there's no stress. And you finished the first bake and went, well, that's a lie. The
The caramel from the darn pine cones falling. I'm like, yeah, no, there's the stress. That's what I was missing.
Like, I remember this feeling, crushing anxiety.
Yeah, that and the ramekins. I'm like, you guys only gave me 30 ramekins. You know I need like 100. So.
I just need to try a few, get it in. Is there any like regional like Christmas or like holiday thing that you make in Regina? Like, did I don't know, I'm trying to think of like the Normans come no, that's too early, isn't it?
No, you just met a group of people called Norman.
No.
I'm like, you mean Mormons?
It's just the Mormons. I don't think they'd have like any traditional bakes, the Mormons. I was trying to think of like some like maybe Uzbekistanis moved to a specific area of Regina and brought an Uzbekistani thing.
Well, so I grew up rural, right? I grew up on a reserve.
Yeah.
And so and there's a lot of small towns obviously around the reserve, and at Christmas time, like holiday times, we would go to the small towns. They have like craft fairs and people will sell their local goods.
Yeah.
Now, my grandmother's always brought back a lot of Ukrainian food. Mm-hmm. We had a lot of like the poppy seed rolls and biscuits that I can't make, but I could try, but I probably wouldn't do very well. But yeah, so I guess that was probably the only really real thing that we had. And then like there's a lot of gingerbread and spice cake that was made in our house. So
well, that would have that Ukrainian means obviously then that when you've got like Metallica in your season, you're like, oh, I remember this.
Oh, the smells from her station. Yeah, they were very like they were very nostalgic, the aromas, because she did authentic Ukrainian baking, and a lot of it are aromas that I was familiar with, having gone to visit, my grandmother's friends in Ituna, for example.
Yeah. And are there any Cree traditions as well that kind of meld with the holiday season or occur at this time of year?
Well, so traditionally there isn't a whole lot of baking in First Nations culture. Food was more of a sustenance thing. Yeah. So like the winter foods were like, you had a lot of dried like corn, dried meat, soups, dried berries. So we ate a lot of like stuff like that. Like she would make a big batch of bannock, which is technically not native, but we claim it. And then she would stew up berries. We would just sit there and we'd eat that, like almost like a shortbread, I guess. Yeah. So, I mean, that was something we grew up with, and she used a wood stove, and you just don't get the flavor from, no, you just don't get the flavor that you get.
Not the same on a gas range.
Yeah. No, it's not.
So, you mentioned dried berries, so we have to. So.
I'm sorry, Jodi.
Don't you apologize. Sorry. It wasn't you. So
I'm apologizing to her and to Canada, like through her. Like,
so there was a bit of a food exchange that took place in the past. We may have sent some Australian-based snacks and treats over, and in return, we might have received some dried Saskatoon berries. Why are you in the pocket of Big Berry?
What?
Why are you in the pocket of Big Berry? And
how have Saskatoon berries?
How have the Saskatoon berry lobby co-opted you? How has that lobby made you try to convince everybody that they're real?
And not blueberries.
They're blueberries. They're fancy blueberries.
Well, I thought the Saskatoon lobby was real. They have a Twitter account, for crying out loud. I'm pretty sure that they sponsored an award show that happened at my workplace, of all places.
Yeah, are we still banned, by the way? We need to know.
Your dog isn't, but I believe.
Oh no! Oh dear! No, actually, in all honesty, they weren't bad.
They were delicious. We actually
really liked them.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, I did. I like the tartness with the dark chocolate. That was really yummy. So.
It's chocolate makes everything better.
Yeah, but I could imagine like going out to pick them fresh, because like we used to go out blackberry picking when I was a kid. Like half would go in your face and then the other half would go in the basket.
Yeah, we learned the hard way as kids not to give my cousin Chad the basket, because it would like, he's supposed to walk it back to grandma's. It would get there and it'd be like this much. She's like, why are you sending back empty pails? I'm like, we're not. We didn't. It was full.
And then there's berry stains all over your face. I don't know if that's what happens with Saskatoon berries, but it did with blackberries. Yeah.
Yeah, berry season. If you don't have purple fingers, were you really picking?
Exactly. And I mean, look, we sent traditional Australian, harvested goods back.
Yes, the sprinkles. Like, where do you pick sprinkles? Like
There's fields.
Fields of sprinkles. They grow on the underside of the leaf, so you just kind of like tap the leaf and they fall off. It's quite beautiful. It's like a fern, but
it's around. It's like when you go through, of course, and Tim Tams are like a root vegetable. So like when you go like potatoes, it's Tim Tams. So
you just pull them up.
Just dust them off, and there you go. There's different flavors, obviously.
If you want more Tim Tams, just plant one. It'll grow eventually.
But it'll always plant in an awkward number.
Yeah. You know what's a real bitch though? Hunting those bloody caramello koalas. Like
although, and when you shoot them, it leaks for
fast.
days. Anyway.
Those caramel koalas caused quite a few fights in this house. I was hiding them because they didn't want anybody else to eat them, and they were finding them.
That's right. You come to Australia, we'll take you on a caramello koala hunt,
I'm in.
Excellent.
Can you also show me which animal lays the Pavlova magic egg?
Oh, yeah. It's a special kind of emu.
What a gestation period it is too. It's a glorious gestation. It's wonderful.
Except emus are, the fathers guard the nests, so they're really tricky to try and go in and swipe one. It's just
it's why the pavlova quite often has it's got strawberries or kiwi fruits or things like that on it, because you have to use some to lure the father emu away from the nest to get the pavlova magic eggs. It's a very specific reference, and you know what? We don't care.
Did you end up using the pavlova egg though?
Yes, I did. I didn't post any pictures. I should have.
No, that's all right.
It was very good.
It's not a pavlova. It's its own entity, but it's not horrible. It's just. And it was a staple in 1980s households.
They were designed for the 1980s household where you suddenly realised you didn't have dessert.
And I've got guests coming. What will I do? I know my pavlova egg will save me. I've got nothing to put on it. But
yeah, I was gonna say it wasn't I always assumed that pavlova is a little bit more crunchy, like a dried up meringue.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it's crunchy on the outside and softer on the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost like a chewy, right?
Yes. Yeah, completely.
Yeah. Okay, but this one didn't cook that way, so I was okay, good. I'm like, I didn't want to admit. I think I wrecked it. I don't think.
No, you can't wreck a pavlova magic egg. They're not designed to be wrecked. They're designed to be that'll do. It's the very nature of pavlova magic baking is that'll do.
We were actually surprised that was an extra that you could add to the basket, like the gift basket. I'm like, oh my God, that's got to go in. Like, you've got to have the pavlova egg.
So yeah, this is the cultural exchange that takes place as a result of Bake Off. We send Australian snacks over and we get chocolate covered Saskatoon berries back.
Yeah. Oh, and I have to mention the beautiful beading that you did for me. Oh, I love it so much. I've got it on one of my altars just as it's just so gorgeous. So yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you loved it.
Yeah.
I tried to match it to berry colors.
Yes, I got that.
We picked that.
So it's just you're just super talented and so creative, and I'm always in awe of the stuff that you produce. So when we're coming up to the showstopper, I mean, everyone loves a good effing showstopper, but I'm like, we've got you with your glam like bakes and stuff. We've got Linda with her like nonna elegance. Colin, fuck knows what that boy's going to produce, but it's going to be good. You know that.
It'll be extra.
It'll be extra. And Sachin, he was the dark horse for me because I'm like, I know he does good bakes, but what is he going to produce? And yeah, I loved everyone's bakes. So yeah. Did you get to watch them in progress? Or are you too busy focusing on your deliciousness?
too busy focusing, which is how I did not realize Sachin was doing sugar work behind me.
That ribbon.
Oh, when we were done and like, hands up, turn around, take a look at what everybody else produced, my breath was taken away. I was just, how did you manage to make that in this amount of time on top of all the amazing, like, because he had beautiful profiteroles and with crackling on it.
Yeah.
And then the sugar work. And I was so shocked because the humidity, like because of all the rain that had happened over there, I was so surprised that he managed to make sugar work that held its shape and had the shine, and it was literally breathtaking. I was like,
because he was so panicked about doing it.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know, I'm going to try this. We'll see what happens. I've done it
once before.
And then as he started, and then you could just see the joy in his face, like, it works. And it looked like store-bought ribbon. It looked like store-bought ribbon. Like it was incredible.
It was so delicate and so vibrantly colored. And I mean, there was so much layers to it.
Yeah.
It was
and
so
all the stripes were like straight. I'm like, it was straighter than a straight pride march. That's how straight those lines were. Although that said, I think the straight pride march covers a few things going on. And sorry, this is digressing. Have you seen the straight pride flag? It looks so gay. It is this baby pink and baby blue with like the traditional male and female symbols, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so gay. Like
the LGBT plus community. The LGBT plus community could not have done a better job of designing a flag if they tried. It's remarkably beautiful and stunning, and yeah, like I absolutely adore it. It's like fantastic, but and they don't get why everyone thinks it's fantastic. They think it's because they're like, oh, you're backing that cause. Yes, no, it's glorious, it's glamorous, it's wonderful. It's like an Anne Bournell jumpsuit. But
the back of the ranch. So we've seen the beauty that is Sachin's like.
Now I need to talk to Jodi, of course, because I've long said that I am a massive fan of savory over sweet. And the second you went, so I'm doing savory, I got very excited very fast. And we also did a little thing. It was really interesting. So we did a thing, not knowing what was going to happen in this. We put out a challenge to the season 5 bakers with their bake-along stuff of savory shoe.
I did see that, yeah.
And all these savory shoe bakes, and I'm like, yeah, Jodi just won it.
Jodi's the hipster. She's the original. Like,
so I was doubly thrilled when I saw yours, and I like I'm going to use cheese as the glue. I'm like, of course. So the concept, discuss.
Okay, so I have this obsession with nachos. So cheese goes in everything.
Yes.
I'm also lactose sensitive, so that's probably not the best thing, but I don't care. I'm going to go for it. So when I started developing, because I knew I wanted to do savory.
Yeah.
I did not want to go sweet because we have enough sweet already. And to me, the holidays are getting together with friends. And I mean, half of my family and half of my friend circle are diabetics. So we can't have sweet everything. There has to be savory options. And so I had to do a savory thing. I wanted an appetizer. Let's feed everybody because we're hungry and we don't want our blood sugar to be higher.
And it's so much booze, you have to line your stomach with something other than sugar.
Exactly. You need the party to last. You can't just have everybody, crashing out right away.
Yeah.
So I decided to go with 3 appetizers that are my favorite. The salmon bellini, now I'm gonna butcher this name, but the spinach puffs.
Spanakopita. Nailed.
Yeah,
Greek. She good.
Yeah.
So I don't have Greek accent.
The Greek, she good.
I love it. And stuffed mushrooms.
Yum.
Those are the 3 inspired points that I used in the wreath itself. And then cheese, because it just, to me, I couldn't wrap my mind around putting sugar with the savory. That would never work. It would be awful.
And I think in Bruno's mind, if you can't have butter, at least have cheese. Like it's like,
Yeah. The dairy must be represented.
What
in
is
some
the
way,
next
shape, or form.
golden dairy that we shall put underneath this butter?
As a Frenchman, like not butter, definitely fromage. So one or the other. I am, by the way, planning to make those because
Please do.
I'm listening to you do that. I'm like, I'm making this because I make, as we said the other day, the one thing I can make baking wise is choux. So they've got to happen now.
Thank you, Jodi. Thank you for bringing this into my life.
Kristie's like, I'm getting fed.
So what are your plans on going into like cheese glue stick making? Like, I'm just imagining your kids sending off to school, no glue stick, just a stick of cheese. It's like, that's your glue, kidlets.
Just make it work. Make sure you melt it.
Teachers won't have a problem at all. What are you doing? I'm setting fire to my cheese glue stick. It's all good.
I just need to make it work.
Yeah.
It's delicious worksheets.
Excuse me, miss. I need a microwave for my craft. She's like, oh no, it's Jodi's kid again. Oh, of course.
It would have been brilliant. I was also impressed with. I was waiting as well for a bake based around your love of the CFL, because you're one of the few people I know who has a love for the CFL. So it's very rare that I see it, But
it's a nice, neat little season, right?
It's a nice compact season, with just enough slightly different rules to make it a novelty for people that don't necessarily watch it on a regular basis. And your commitment is legendary. It genuinely is. So,
yeah. It borders on insanity, I will admit.
I wasn't going to say that. I was being generous.
I know you were being very, very kind. I don't know anybody else that would dress up like a decapitated lion and go stand in minus 30-degree weather in the middle of November. Oof. To make sure that their team wins. If my boys got to play in that weather, I'm going to be out there cheering them on in that weather.
Oh, that is some hardcore fandom. Like that is,
Riders. No.
It's one of the things like I keep because we don't have kids. I keep thinking is a bit of a blessing with Chris and I is when I see you drive past the parents at the fields on the weekends. And it's either if they're there for cricket in Australia, the cricket's played in the summer. Like it is fucking hot, and I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have a cricket kid.
And with the cricket, they stand out in the field all day. It's from 9 o'clock in the morning to 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
It's the most boring sport.
And then standing in the sun.
May as well just watch grass grow, as far as I'm concerned. And everyone in Australia is going, oh, cast her out. That bitch is not Australian. And
now, the other thing you could have, of course, based a bake on, and I am a bit staggered that you didn't.
You didn't let me do my other half. You hold that.
Okay.
And I was going to say, and then you go past in winter and it's all football season. So soccer, AFL, NRL, whatever, union, everything going on. And I'm like, they're shivering their tits off. Like, I don't want to be that parent. Like my child would just be nice indoor.
I would have been out there for that because of the soccer.
Okay.
Neither of my kids do outdoor sport.
Smart move. Smart move.
One chose ballet, one chose swimming. I'm like, yes, but so I'll freeze for the CFL.
Yeah, well, that's your thing. The other thing you could have based it on, and I'm surprised you didn't, was I was waiting for a Metallica bake.
I wanted to, but I think it was like a trademark thing, right? When they asked us, what do you listen to for inspiration while you bake? And I'm like, oh, jazz. I'm like, that's such a lie, Jodi. You blast Metallica every time you bake.
I mean, I don't know. A Metallica litigious. Lars has never threatened to sue anybody. So
that was 20 years ago. Just
have you heard the story of me meeting Lars?
No. Please tell me he tried to sue you.
Okay, so he walks into the room, and I'm like, it's Lars. And now I'm in my head, I'm going through the list of things Jesse has always told me. If you ever meet Lars, here are the things you cannot say. Because he's obviously, the very devoted Metallica fan. I like Metallica now, but I only feigned liking them because I wanted to catch Jesse's attention initially. So
worked.
Bought myself a Metallica shirt without having listened to a song. So Anyway, so Lars walks into the room and I'm going through my head immediately, all these things I'm not allowed to say. I don't say this, don't say this. And Lars walks up and he goes, hey, hi, introduces himself, and I shake his hand and I'm like, please don't sue me. And I just blurted it. That was all I said. And he goes, he immediately takes his hand back and goes, what? And I go, don't sue me? What kind of reputation do I have? And I'm like, Napster?
You sue everybody, Lars! I thought you were going to say that your introduction line was, I loved your music on Napster.
No, I did this. I just went Napster with an upward inflection, and he just like, he looked at me, he's like, the look was, you bitch. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. And he goes, why would you say that? I'm like, I have a list of things I'm not supposed to say, and I'm saying them all. and then he goes, so why would you think I'm going to sue you? I go, because I kind of stole your band's name and named my kid Metallica. And so then we had a whole long, like, 15-minute conversation about Metallica, and he asked me if I brought her. I'm like, she's 4. I'm not going to bring her to the concert because we had to stand outside for 12 hours, and she couldn't come in with me. So no, I didn't bring her.
It's like, when she's 5, she'll be on.
And I felt awful because there were kids that were like infants in the pit. But I mean, where was I going to put her, right? She couldn't come in with me. You know?
And also, you're fearful of a lawsuit. So
I do not want you to sue me and take my child. So,
I'm just imagining the band going, well, she's ours now. and your daughter
will be the band.
Bye.
I'm with the band.
And I'm sure my husband would have been like, that's what she was born for. You know, like, geez.
She's gone for her purpose. She's with Lars now.
So he leaves, he goes, he says hi to everybody else in the damn room, leaves, and I'm standing there going, my husband is going to kill me. Why would you say all of those things? And then he comes running back into the room and he's like, excuse me. And I'm like, this is it? This is where he tells me I'm not allowed to come to the concert now. And he goes, I just want to take a picture of your child's ID. And I'm like, okay. And he pulls his phone out and he's taking a picture. And then he just laughs and shakes his head and walks out. And I'm just like, this is crazy.
I'm glad it had a good ending.
We're in the pit during the concert, and I'm front row with my husband who's been waiting for me that entire time. I come up to the front row and they're doing the concert and he's walking around the pit. I'm walking around the stage and he looks at me and he goes, there's Metallica's mom. And I'm like, thank you for not being mad.
Thank you for not pointing out and going, see you in court.
Lawyers, that's her. Oh no, he pulls out an envelope. You've been served.
He stops them playing something off Garage Inc. when the audience goes, good. But then he comes up and goes, you've been served. I love the way I got a Garage Inc. shot in there too. Anyway.
I love that.
So anyway,
Jodi's not happy. Please don't offend our guest the way she offended Lars from her favorite band. She's one of our favorite bakers. Please don't do a Jodi to Jodi.
So I also liked, back to the pavilion briefly before we get,
oh yeah,
I loved when Anne walked over and is trying to ask a very baking question to Linda. And she's like, did they come out okay? And Linda just goes, yeah, of course, they're cream puffs. It's like,
right.
She's like, this isn't a creme caramel, Jodi? I just imagine Linda sassing everyone and them having to edit it out. Like, she presents this loving, like, you know, nonna on the screens, and behind it, she's just like, hey, Colin, you need some butter there, bud? Like, she's just sassing everyone.
I asked for extra just so you could have some.
Yeah.
So it was, as I said, it was, in terms of the holidays, it was a lot of fun for a start, just in general as an episode, let alone as the holiday special. But as I said, when you go outside and there's all those bakers there, and I felt really bad for poor Anjali, because at the end when they go and you know, Sachin and everyone comes over for a big group hug, and there's Anjali just stuck with the string quartet playing. It's like everyone runs over like, Anjali, go! And she's like, no, there's 4 of us. I can't break.
We're a quartet. And if I break now, then they'll know, and there will be a trio. That's how I imagine it goes with like, you know, bands like orchestras. They start out as a full orchestra and they just start.
Someone goes to the bar. Someone went to the bathroom and they went, this sounds good without them.
Yeah.
Doesn't we need them?
Until finally you get the soloist. You know,
it's like a solid solo act.
Yeah.
One guy on a cello just going, I don't need them. Although I do think you could have. Did you think about making some requests of Metallica of Anjali String Quartet?
No,
you should have.
I didn't think I had that power. So
I'm sure you did.
That would have been amazing. Like, I mean, I've seen Apocalyptica, and I know that Briggs can play Metallica really well. So
yeah, nothing else matters with the string quartets. With the orchestra is amazing. So you know, you could have.
I should have.
Next time.
Like, now I have regrets. So
yeah.
It's like talking to Lars Ulrich about being sued, not getting a Metallica request through on the string quartet on the grand final. On the final.
What do I regret more?
Which one? so Sachin won.
Linda produced something beautiful. Colin went Scandinavian, although I was disappointed there wasn't like the Grace the Caribou reference with his like bake. Like, just, you know,
could have been, should have been.
We had that there ready to go. But, you know, reindeers are traditional. I think the caribous are kind of like we're too cool. Like, you know, like too cool for Santa. Screw you guys.
And it was really interesting. I thought everyone was there. Obviously, they were baking seriously, but having fun with it. Except I thought that the way that I viewed it was Linda was there. I suggest that one of the grandkids had possibly smashed a cake plate. And so Linda's return was just to get the cake plate. So she had another one. That's what and that's why like her sass was all over the place. She's like, I'm only here because I want a cake plate. I thought that Colin had stated his aim of winning. But I don't know how serious he was versus just zingers, which is whatever time he cut to his bench, he was firing another one. And then doing his own sort of like for people who vaguely remember, like his own hype man as well. So he'd do a zinger and then go, hey-oh, like he was his own hype, which is brilliant. He was a double act in a single. It was fantastic. You were very obviously relaxed and committed at the same time. And Sachin was just laser focused.
Yeah, he was super focused. I was really disappointed that I didn't get to hear Colin sing more in the tent because I was expecting it. Like you said, he was a 2-person act in one man. You know, dropping a beat, you know, with a wooden spoon on the counter and singing at the same time, something like that. See, I kept hearing carols in my head, and I know that they were only in my head because nobody else heard them.
I did like that bit where you're like, am I the only person?
Yeah. Can anybody else hear this?
I was like, I'm thinking that you could have dropped some hints, you know, like, oh, while it's daytime, you know, it's certainly silent like a night at that point.
Just gradually, you know, is that a little drummer boy I see over there?
I feel like going away in a manager. Manager. I mean, you know what I mean.
Something 12 days Christmas.
Excuse me, cameraman. Was that a partridge you saw in that pear tree over there?
Just walking around, just dropping carol hints.
I think you know what I all these things. See, regrets. I should have dropped some carol lines.
I say less regrets and more preparation for the next time you're on.
Yeah, I think in future series, somebody needs to go on and only speak in Christmas references. Only. Or other holidays. No, other holidays too.
Any holidays, you know, if you're reciting
I'm just going to go in there and just quote Christmas movies. Yes, that was my goal. I'm like, I'm just going to talk only in Christmas movies.
You know, Jodi gets at the counter and just goes, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. No, it's...
that could have been the finale, the last like thing I did to the big showstopper.
If your bake fails, just suddenly Nakatomi Plaza it. Just...
And what do you have for me today? This is a Hans Gruber mess.
Where's the rest of your bake? What have you made for us in the showstopper? I've called it Mr. Takagi. Well, where's the rest of it? I'm sorry, but Mr. Takagi won't be joining us for the rest of his life.
Oh no!
I've put too much thought into this.
I should have prepped with you guys before I went on the show.
Yes. The other action movie I'm now trying to push as a Christmas movie is The Last Kiss Goodnight, to get the Gina Davis action going on, because we all need that in our lives.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
There we go. Last Kiss Goodnight. It's Gina Davis and Samuel L. Jackson. It's brilliant. She's like this. I won't give it away. It's just good.
Okay, I'll be looking for that. I'm gonna watch it.
Excellent.
Long Kiss Goodnight.
Long Kiss Goodnight, not Last Kiss Goodnight.
I was gonna say that's a different movie.
Well, if it's a good one, it is a long one.
It's a long one.
Long one.
Yeah.
This has been the best recap of a Christmas holiday episode ever. We have done nothing but talk baking. We've done nothing but talk baking. It's a Christmas party. And that's what it is. It's a holiday party. What we've done is a holiday party, and I, for one, am thrilled with it.
I too. I'm thrilled with it.
And I am far more thrilled by the fact that we actually got to have you on the podcast. So thank you so much, Jodi, for coming on. This has been an absolute delight.
I absolutely loved it. This is great. I'm so glad.
Thank you very much for coming on. It's been a treat. Until next time, everybody, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
And we will catch you all later.
Oh, wait. Is that Kyla's kissing Santa Claus?